How you doing? I'm Michael Bell, the voice of Duke.
Hi, this is Adrienne Palicki, Lady J from G.I. Joe.
Hey there, it's Rachel Nichols, aka Scarlet.
And if you're listening,
And you're listening to
And you are listening to Anything Joe's, a collaborative journey through the world of G.I. Joe with Greg and Jaren.
Yo, Joe!
Got my G.I. Joes, got my comic books, watching cartoon episodes. Watch me go and box, dead stop, Jaren on his toes. Watch me go and lock a whole new world you never know. On my freaking block, on my block, anything Joe's. Roll my badger into work today. Yes, sir, no, sir. I can't call this work today. I'm too clutch. Ain't no pun intended. Call me sir today. Check the prices out. My collection feeling bird today. Anything Joe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Anything Joe's, a collaborative journey through the world of G.I. Joe. My name is Greg Engel.
And I'm Jaren Decker.
And we'll be your host today. Today on Anything Joe's, we're going to talk a little bit about my experience at Lexington ComicCon 2024. Lexington ComicCon took place this last weekend, and it's just about the only Comic-Con that I attend regularly. There weren't really any substantial G.I. Joe awareness there. There's not like a ton of G.I. Joe talent like we've been in previous years where Larry was there. I mean, I've been in previous years where it's been a stacked lineup of G.I. Joe talent. There was only one person there that was really attached to the G.I. Joe brand. I guess two, technically. And we'll get into that when I show you what I bought. As far as what was on the floor, I did not take any footage because we went there on a Sunday. It's a short day, so we were already kind of crushed for time, and I had a ton of stuff non-G.I. Joe related, so I won't bore you. Lots of signatures, lots of that. G.I. Joe, just the general G.I. Joe awareness on the floor was a small amount of toys. I saw a couple guys that had like fair priced figures. They had a Hurricane VTOL, which I did stop and look at. It was $45. I was like, okay, no missiles, no. It was missing a lot of accessories. Probably a fair price considering it was unbroken, but it wasn't why I was there. We've said this a million times. Jaren is going to sell me his at some point. So I was like, okay, thank you. And then I looked briefly at the figures. He had some other stuff. Sarge was there. Sorry. Sergeant Slaughter was there signing. So that always brings a little bit of G.I. Joe stuff. And the Skybound stuff has really, you start to see the old books have started to tick up dollar by dollar very slowly. When you check, I have like an app that tracks my pricing, and it's like my collection is like 85% G.I. Joe books, so I'm always like, oh, okay, these are going up a little bit. So it was really common to see older books in the $8 to $12 range, which is pretty scary. I could name maybe 10 books that are definitely worth more than $15. But the average book, if you were throwing a dart on it, should be a $5 book tops, even in this day and age, in my opinion. There are exceptions if you're buying 9.8 high quality books from that era, but overall, I think it's getting a little out of control. So I say that as a word of warning. If you're still in the depths of a Marvel collection, especially, you either need to get moving or you need to sit tight, or I guess sell would be your third option, because it feels like it's not going to get any better anytime soon. The stuff I'm seeing is like really disproportionately priced now, and I guess also fairly. I was at a Comic-Con where things are typically a little overpriced, but it's not across the board. I've actually been snapping up G.I. Joe singles, even if I already own them, because I'm like, if it's under $3. I'm just like, oh, well, I actually don't know what I'm going to do with them. My first thought was, I'll get it, and if it's in better condition, I'll upgrade it, and then I'll sell my other one. And then my next thought was, maybe I'll keep a couple of directs and a couple of newsstands, because people in comic collecting make a big difference. They're like, that's a big difference in price, and because it's harder to find newsstands from the 80s that aren't beat up because they were in grocery stores and whatever. I'm not putting a lot of stock into that, but it is. I'm trying to justify why I keep buying comics that I already own. Well, I've bought a small lot. I've probably bought about maybe 20 books, just various from as early as number 6, as late as number in the 80s, just random stuff that comes up. You got to remember, a lot of my comic book collection is my childhood collection. I started collecting around number 48, And by 59, a very key core memory. Sorry if I've told this story before. Issue number 59, my mom is going to Battle's grocery store, which definitely does not exist, and maybe it might have been one of one in my little podunk town. She's going to the grocery store. She says, "You guys want anything?" I said, "Yeah, well, you look and get the new G.I. Joe for me if you have it." She goes, "Okay, you pay me back?" I'm like, "Absolutely." Mom goes to the store and comes back. She's mad. She's like, "Hey, comics are $1 now. You owe me $1." Me with poor little Greggy with 3 quarters in his hand. I'm like, "Woo." But I'll always remember the 59 is the first book I bought with my first G.I. Joe book I bought with my own money. And from 59, probably till the end, I bought them all myself. Those are all my books except for the stuff that, I missed for whatever reason. And I did not take good care of my comics. They're not beaters, but you can see as I grow up, the comics start to get in better condition, which is fortunate. So those last 5-ish books are brutal. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Just to say there was a big comic book presence for G.I. Joe if you were looking, but nothing. I mean, it was not a con for G.I. Joe people unless you were really like trying, and of course I was.
So would you say that this is kind of? It seems like, and now this is apples and oranges maybe, but I remember talking to some collectors when I first started collecting classified, and they talked about how once classifieds came out, O-Ring and Modern, those prices started to creep up. Mm-hmm. And now those prices are a lot higher than they were this time 5 years ago. Do you think that is trending in the same direction? Not that it's necessarily going to happen that way, but is that something that you could, that at least seems logical?
Logical, yes. Am I seeing happening? Not specifically. I do wonder about, when classifieds came out, they've been out long enough now that we've talked to and seen people that are like, the excitement for this line has brought me back to the brand in general. I've looked at old toys from when I was a kid. I'm reading the Marvel comics that I didn't finish then. I would be interested in seeing if comic book collectors that were brought into anything going on now, not just the Energon universe, but, Larry's 301 relaunch with new art, new label, that I know a lot of people jumped on there because we talked a little bit about what a tough jumping on point that can be. I'm wondering if those people are now like, I want to go back. And I know there are some people that are like, I'm trying to read the IDW run. I didn't read any of it. Where do, I'm like, yeah, it's tough because you're talking, there are more of those books now than there were of the Marvel run, or roughly it's very close if you start to tie in special missions and all that. Mm-hmm. It's tough to be like, I don't know where to tell you to start. It's one thing to be like, I need the first 155 Marvels, and then to be like, well, I need another 150. And IDW, quite frankly, didn't do a bang-up job of collecting that stuff because they were running multiple titles. They're not all chronological. They didn't get the original stuff reprinted, and it's a kind of a mess. There's in the window where they're publishing 2 or 3 books a month, and they're all doing separate stories that are converging, and you kind of needed to read them like in that order. I don't know. It's a tough sell. I think you got to go back at least. You're probably as good of a judge as anybody because you did try to get caught up, and you jumped on sort of at the end of the IDW run. I'd say you got to go back. Yeah. You got to go at least back to in the 240s when Dawn is getting introduced. Go back further than that than when Snake Eyes dies. But yeah, I'm going to say at least the last 100 issues of the run. That sucks, but it's true.
I jumped on at like 270 something, right in there, and it was a lot of, hey Greg, what the heck is this?
Yeah,
because that was also when I was like trying to get into the Marvel run, and I'm like, there's no way these universes are the same. Like, there's 18 trillion characters in this, but I'll be interested to see how that goes, because there at least seems to be a good hype around the Skybound set of books, and I've enjoyed every single one I've read. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I hope, for the sake of those collecting the older ones, that the prices don't skyrocket. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, people keep saying, and this applies to both comics and toys in general, but the COVID bubble was a very real thing. Everybody got locked in. They started pursuing other hobbies, and it was a big bummer for introverts like me that have lived inside their whole life and have always been collecting it, because we were like, what's going on? And it was people that normally go outside and enjoy their life. They were like, oh, I can't do that, so I'll steal it from somebody else that does it. No. So, yeah, the prices started going crazy. I mean, like, truly spiking across the board. And now, finally, after a big delay, those people have started to go back to their real life, and prices have started to settle down. And I think that's about where we're at. People, G.I. Joe prices were the same way, and G.I. Joe prices, I feel like, are starting to kind of balance out a little bit. They're never going to be as good as they were, but I think they're getting close to what I would consider to be acceptable at the very least.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier that it wasn't really a G.I. Joe convention unless you just went in and tried to make it that way. And that's what I did. You're talking to a guy who goes to a car con and will come back with Cobra Commander hubcaps. I can turn any show into a G.I. Joe themed show. So I'm not going to, the comics I picked up are unrelated to G.I. Joe. So I'm not going to waste your time. I commissioned 3 sketches while I was there. I got there early. I knew I am, just like going to a G.I. Joe convention. When I go to a Comic-Con, I'm very meticulous. This is not how I behave in the outside world. But when I'm coming to this stuff, I'm like, these are the people that are going to, I've been collecting comics for a long time, since I was in middle school. I love it. And not unlike G.I. Joe, comic books kind of come and go. I'm into it for a while, and then I'm out of it for a while. It's the only other hobby I have that I have not abandoned completely. I do not collect other toys. I sold all that stuff. This is the one thing that I was just like, I've been going for so long. I have so much good stuff, and I still enjoy it. And I'm if you can't tell, I'm going through a phase right now. So I commissioned 3 artists to do a G.I. Joe sketch, and it was 3 people that I knew were going to deliver great quality, and 2 of them have worked on the G.I. Joe brand before.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's important to say, when we talked about the con, Greg said, Jaren, do you want me to send these to you, and I'll just go ahead and post them on socials? Or when we talk about it, do you want to do it then? And I have not seen these. So I'm expecting really good stuff, okay? We're talking badgers and everything of good quality. That's what I'm hoping for.
I would love to see you get a commission of someone do a badger. I think that would be amazing. I often, when I commission an artist, I'm a very easygoing, open-minded guy. I'm like, this is what I want. Something G.I. Joe. And then I'll let that person kind of lead the way. Do you like a character from there? Do you want to draw a male, a female, a hero, or a villain? I'll narrow it down as much as you need me to, but I believe in letting an artist have as much freedom as they want, because they produce superior results. As it's art, man. Go do art. I'm not an artist, so, but I respect artists tremendously, so I want them to have the freedom to do whatever they want. I've gotten great work out of it as a result.
Your approach for G.I. Joe comic sketches is how I did my tattoos. I went to my tattoo artist. I said, look, I've seen the stuff you do. It's really good. Here's the general thing I want. Make it. And then that's, I am not an artist. There's no shot I'm going to be doing that. So putting it in your hands, I trust you.
All right. So let's get right into it. The first sketch that I got is the smallest sketch that I got. I was walking by the table, and one of the people that is there that is the talent that I wanted to talk to, somebody that I've met before, is Bob Hall. If you're not familiar with Bob Hall did a ton of work for Marvel and DC back in the 80s. He did the entire Squadron Supreme maxi series. Has done a bunch. He did a bunch of West Coast Avengers. He's a classic, fantastic artist. And still pumping them out, at this age. He had an entire table of these small, I'd say, coaster size sketches that he was selling for $60 a pop. And it was just just Captain America, just all kinds of, just a smorgasbord of characters. And I walk up and he's got a full plate, which is actually makes me feel bad, because I feel like he's not getting the recognition that he wants. Oh, sorry. Also, Bob Hall is connected to G.I. Joe, if you're not aware, only minimally. But he did the covers for both G.I. Joe number 3, which has the giant robot on it, and G.I. Joe number 4.
I love that cover.
G.I. Joe number 4, where they're all kind of running over the hill. And that's all he's done, but it's single-digit stuff. And, the cover to number 4 does not do much for me. I'm not critiquing art. It doesn't deliver. The cover to number 3 is one of the best covers in the entire run. It rules. It's got classic, the dude in the back that's turned around yelling, got just a regular green shirt vibe. The robot is got just a very late 70s, early 80s aesthetic. Got some some Kirbyism to it. Beautiful cover. He was selling prints of both of those covers, so I like that he gets recognition for it. So again, a bit of a tertiary character that worked on the brand, but I've met him many times. He signed both of those books. He signed Tales of G.I. Joe 3 and 4, which is the reprint. I did not have anything else. He signed my like omnibus complete collection. I didn't have anything. I don't have anything left for him to sign that he worked on for G.I. Joe. So I said, "Hey, do you have anything G.I. Joe related?" He said, "No." I said, he said, "No, but I've got 2 blank ones. If you want one, I'll draw you one." I said, "Okay, great." He was like, "It'll be $60. Give me about an hour." I said, "Okay." He said, "Who do you want me to draw?" I was like, "You draw whoever you want." He said, "I'm not drawing this forever." He said, "I don't know." He said, "Do you have any anything to look at or go off of?" I was like, "Well, you can use either one of these posters that you're selling. I'm not picky." He said, "I'll look up something on my phone." I said, "Okay, great." I came back I gave him a way later. All the stuff that he had on his table was like, I'd say less bust plus, not torso, but like kind of like cut off at the shoulders. So pretty good value. But when I got back to it, and maybe because he had done it and he knew I was coming to get it, he basically did this.
Oh, dang.
So Bob picked a Scarlet, unprompted. I really didn't know what he was going to do. I thought he might actually do a grunt, like corner box style figure. And he seemed really pleased, like not only with it, but that I guess somebody asked for it. I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Oh, thank you so much. This is wonderful. Great value. I got double, like that's almost a full figure sketch." Even though, I mean, it is tiny, but that doesn't really bother me. I have a lot of those smaller ones. And Bob Hall's a legend, man. An absolute king of the books of that era. And I'm glad that he's actually one of the few artists there that I did not have a piece from. Bob McLeod was there, who is, did, inks on the G.I. Joe #1 cover. Did lots of work on G.I. Joe. So, is most well known for following Mike Zeck as an inker. They were like a team for a long time. So if you see a great G.I. Joe iconic cover that Mike Zeck did, Bob McLeod probably inked it. And several years ago, I had a chance to meet Bob, and he signed my #1, which is verified signature, and I got him to do a head sketch for me. So I did not approach Bob because I have a lot of stuff from him, and I don't have that head sketch here, but it rules. It's good, and I didn't get it done this day, so it's irrelevant. Find it on your own time. It's out there. All right.
That Scarlet's dope, though. That is beautiful. I just had to say, that is actually, really cool.
As much as I love that Scarlet, and it is I think it's great. It's done by an icon that I did not have a piece of work done. It's great value for its size and price, but is the weakest of these 3 sketches.
Oh.
LexCon had one not really a guest of honor, but a guest who I recognized the name, and I had to do a double take to make sure that I was looking at the right person. And it's Paul Pelletier. Paul Pelletier is the guy that is getting ready to start doing pencil work on A Real American Hero, starting with 305 or 306. There are some preliminary pages out there where they announced it. And as soon as I saw that and it clicked, hey, this is a guy that is involved, he is now currently part of the brand. I was like, oh, I've got to meet him, but I don't have anything for him to sign, and the book isn't out yet, so it's literally nothing unless Paul brought something with him, which I don't think you can sell pages of your book before they're published. That seems like it would. I'm just saying, they probably still, in case they have to make a change or something. So I was like, well, maybe I'll get him to do a sketch. I started doing research on, does he take commissions beforehand, what's his price range, blah 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 blah. And Paul does not have a tremendous social awareness out there. He has a website, but I had to find a fan group to get ideas on what his drawing style looked like. Does he sketch at cons, pricing, etc. But I had a pretty good idea. I knew there was at least a pretty good possibility that Paul would be available to do a sketch, and we got there when we opened. I went straight to him. He was the first person I wanted to see. He's there, and he's a wonderful guy. I had a great conversation with Paul. Paul wasn't so high up the ladder of important G.I. Joe people that I get tongue-tied like I do with Larry, where I often feel I'm a fool. He was, and so I had a great casual chat where I was just like, we talked about all kinds of great stuff. First of all, he has the next issue there. It's completely done, and they just haven't added the words balloons. It's still it hasn't been colored. It's all Paul's basically original finished work. He's like, take
That's
a
so
look.
cool.
He's like, take a look at it. I flip it open and I'm like, oh, it's the next issue. It's the whole next issue. I'm like, Paul, I know enough about G.I. Joe that I don't need the words to know what's happening in here. And he wasn't concerned about it at all. And obviously, I'm not here to be like, hey, let me tell you what's going to happen in the next episode or whatever. I'm just here to tell you that Paul's work is amazing. If you're a Mooneyham fan, I understand, but I'm telling you, he delivers. I actually said to him, I said, Paul, it's crazy that nothing against the people that worked at IDW. There were so many, Robert Atkins, S of the lot, lots of people that worked on IDW book that really drove it home. I said, with the added attention to the book right now, it seems like we're getting better than normal. Like the covers and the quality of the book is just outstanding. And he was like, yeah, I really love it. Paul didn't, a trend that we've been seeing in letters pages recently. Paul was like, I didn't know anything about G.I. Joe before I started. I said, this baffles us, you and Jaren and I specifically, because the amount of detail that goes into this. And I said, buddy, don't think that if you get it wrong, they won't call you out. That's what they live for. And I said, I'm really amazed at how much little detail somebody like this could get without already going in with a love and passion for all the little stuff of the brand. He talked a little bit about how he was not really, they kind of put him as a fill-in artist, but he says that he will be a recurring, they've brought him on for several issues, and that they might, it might be a two-man team for a little bit because Mooneyham, I guess, is not pumping them out quite as fast as they need them. So welcome aboard, Paul, man. Beautiful and just amazing work across the board. Paul did a lot of work on Aquaman that I actually owned in my collection, and I just had not, it just did not click that I already kind of knew who he was. But I never had a chance to meet him. Again, we talked at great length about tons of stuff. I didn't want to talk his ear off, but I was like, hey, you gonna do a commission? And he was like, yeah, I can take a commission on. And I was like, okay, give me your rates. And I'll go ahead and be, I try not to shy away from pricing too much. Paul's rate for a full figure, I wanted to go all in on it, was 160, 150.
Okay.
I said, okay, that's fair. Gimme. He said, well, okay, great. Who do you want me to draw? I said, your choice. Paul said, I don't know a lot about G.I. Joe. You're going to have to take a pick. So this is the first place I went. I did not know I was already going to get a Scarlet while I was there. So I flipped to an open page, and it's in the next issue, and it's a bigger, maybe not quite half-page panel of Snake Eyes and Scarlet. Buddy, it's a dreamboat. It looks great. And I looked at it and said, draw Scarlet. This Scarlet is insane. I don't like for people to draw Snake Eyes. I don't know if I've talked about this before. A lot of times I give people an open option. They go, Snake Eyes, because he's the most popular. But he also just happens to be the easiest character to draw in the book. And I always am like, I don't feel like I'm getting my money's worth. I have gotten great Snake Eyes in the past. I try not, if somebody's very, very passionate about it, I would never turn it down. And as you'll learn here in a minute. So anyway,
spoiler.
Paul's like, okay, great. Come back later. And of course I come back at the very end of the show. He's completed it. Let's take a look at it.
Oh my gosh.
When Paul pulled this out, my jaw dropped. Paul has such a pure, I'm not a comic book analyst, no matter how much I try to make you believe I am. I'm just somebody that has collected comics his whole life and loves it and is passionate about it. And when I see art that I love, I recognize it. And this looks great. Paul's line work has such a purity to it. It really does call back like pencil work of the 90s. Everything now is so over-inked, over-computer processed. You lose a little bit of this purity. You can look at these rough lines around the legs and stuff where Paul is sketching out like the concept and how the anatomy should lay it out. One of the friends that I was there with was like, how could he draw that crossbow pistol like that, like without having the pose? Like, that's such a authentic way to hold a crossbow the way you would fire it. It would have been much easier and lazier to just have her arm all the way out. The detail work on her face and the way her hair is struck in the wind, just amazing. Just beautiful.
Wow.
Man. This picture doesn't do it justice. I'm going to go get it so you can see this commission is so much larger Let's compare it to what I got from Bob Hall, who's doing coasters. All right. This is the Bob Hall picture, like in hand, so you can actually get a better idea of its actual scale. Again, I'm very fond of this, and I love it much. So I have no complaints about it. I just want you to be able to understand that this is where, as far as commissions go, this is the largest I've ever seen. I have commissions that are this size. It is not common in this day and age.
Dang.
I can barely get it all on screen. So again, just so we're clear, this thing is, I mean, I think 11 by 14 is what the standard is, but it's huge, man. It's like, this is like what you would probably draw a comic book page on. I don't know that for a fact. I told you I don't know anything about comics. Paul Pelletier, I salute you, my friend. What a tremendous honor to meet and just have a casual conversation. Did not seem bothered by me in the least. I enjoyed it. I'm honored to have added this art to my pretty substantial portfolio, quite frankly. My original G.I. Joe art is really getting there, man. I've got some truly beautiful pieces. And so
that is
this was worth it. If
insane.
I'd only come home with this, I would have been happy. But I came home with a lot more than that. I said I only got 3 commissions, and it's actually not correct. I did get a 4th commission, but I do not have it, and I really can't even speak to it. I walked by this. I'm a huge advocate of supporting local talent, people that are in my vicinity, people that are struggling artists trying to make it at the con scene, self-publishers, you name it. I can't always afford to do it, but I try to find people that I feel like can deliver something that I'm interested in. And if you're not a comic book guy, obviously you pay somebody that's a relatively unknown artist that could be the best artist you've ever seen or never seen, or Jim Lee. You're not going to get the same amount of value for your money. So I'm also a big believer that you pay somebody that is unrecognized in their field. They'll go above and beyond. Perhaps that is why Bob Hall went overboard, because he felt unrecognized, or maybe he was just happy to meet somebody that knew him and loved his work. But anyway, I walked by a guy, had a great booth set up, and I will add his name like right here. Sorry, future editing, Greg. Put his name there, and I'll actually put an example of his work if I can find it up here in our window, so you can kind of see why I was sold on it. I walked by and he had an amazing Spider-Man like blank cover, and he'd drawn a symbiote suit Spider-Man, and it looked rad, and he was trying to sell it. So I stopped, and I started up a conversation with him, and he had a portfolio of all kinds of. He had drawn a lot of Spider-Man stuff, a lot of Invincibles. And I was like, hey, I think I actually want to do a commission by you because this Spider-Man looks so good. And he was very excited about that. And I told him I wanted something G.I. Joe, and he was very excited about that. And I said, all right, pick your character. And he said, how about Snake Eyes? And I said, I don't typically tick that. And I explained why. And he said, I understand that. I said, but looking at this symbiote Spider-Man, which is a primarily black themed outfit, and how much you've made that pop, I'm willing to believe that you can outshine some of the other Snake Eyes that are in my exhibit. And so he said, great. He said, check back with me and we'll see. But he was up front that he might not be able to get it done. So I went at the very last minute. And he said, I'm sorry, dude. I just had too much going on. No big deal. Gave me his personal phone number. Was like, you can contact me at any time. I'll let you know. He said, I've got some stuff going on. Probably be about 3 weeks. So maybe by the time we do our next episode, or hopefully at the latest the episode after that, I'll be able to show you that piece. And hopefully it rules. If not, I'll never mention it again. You'll have to email me nonstop to see it.
Outside the show, you'll have to tell me this person's info so I can go hit up their Instagram.
I will. He gave me his card specifically so I would be able to find him and stay in touch with him in case he gets backlogged or something. And he has my information also. He actually asked, "Hey, can I draw this specific version of Snake Eyes?" And so I was immediately like, "Oh, good. You actually do kind of know. It's one thing to be like, draw Wolverine. Everybody knows Wolverine." Somebody goes, draw Wolverine in his original outfit. And then you go, okay, you actually need to know just a little bit about Wolverine. So I was like, okay, great. You not only do I believe that you legitimately want to draw him, you know enough about him to know that you have a personal favorite outfit. I'm into that. So here's hoping. Last commission I got is a doozy. And it's the only full color commission I got. And it's from a local talent also. I'm sorry if I get this wrong. I believe her name is pronounced Tressina Bowling. She goes by Tressa. I follow her on Facebook and other socials because I love her art. And I think she's based out of Lexington. She's definitely based in this area because I know this con is very close for her. She'd put out a thing on Facebook. And like I said, I follow her there. She's done a commission for me before. She did a Helix, which I can show in the window. Here. One of the two for sure. And I love her work. She has a very unique style. Her color work is very vibrant. It really stands out in the field, in my opinion. Another person that I don't think gets enough recognition. I wish she did a regular book. She's very, very, very good. She said I'm taking pre-show commissions for Lexicon. The last commission I got from her was years ago, 3-4 years at least. And I thought, you know what? This is a good action. It was pre-arranged, so I'm paying for it like a month in advance. So I was like, great, it won't affect my budget. It'll be an awesome addition, etc., etc. She says, who do you want me to draw? I say, open choice. She said, you're going to have to give me somebody. I said, okay, Zarana. I said, okay. I picked a Zarana. And I talked to her about, my daughter's middle name is Zarana, and there's a little bit of a connection there, even though my daughter doesn't know it yet. And so she was like, okay, great. And so after that, she messaged me back like maybe a week or two later. She's like, hey, is it okay if I put blood in this? I was like, yes, of course, it's absolutely fine. It's not, I'm not going to hang it in my daughter's room or anything. It's for me. It's just, I get a lot of Zaranas because of that. She said, okay. And I did a all in, full figure color piece. I picked it up at the very end of the show. I'm going to show it to you now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, I mean, wow, indeed. This picture, this is what I accidentally looked on her Instagram right before we went into the con, and I saw just a quick sneak of it, and my heart jumped because I was like, oh, wow. What? I mean, dude, this is a banger, man. This is far superior to the one she did. She did a Helix for me last time. This absolutely puts this to shame. This is one of the best commissions I've ever gotten, in my opinion. Look at the little, all the little etching that's done on, her inner leg to put detailing on the, on the padding of her. I mean, it's everywhere on her fingertips.
Even the shadow on that padding. That's crazy.
I know that this Zarana leans into an art style that makes some traditional fans of G.I. Joe a little uncomfortable. It might be a little too manga, anime-ish for you, but I like to explore different avenues of art in the G.I. Joe world. That's what I liked about the early classified stuff so much, is that they were putting stuff out that everybody hated except me. I loved it so much. And so I always want artists to have a lot of freedom. I would not want to restrict any artist from their natural style. I picked Tressa because her natural style, I think, accentuates these characters. And this is no different. I could talk about this all day, so I'll just literally leave you with the image. It's beautiful, and I love it, and I'm so happy with it. That concludes my journey at Lexington ComicCon. It was a great show this year. It was very slow this year compared to the previous years. I had time to talk to several creators at length, sometimes about how the show drive was much lower than last year. A lot of them said that it was that COVID had affected that as well. That now that as things return to normal, things that were high demand are starting to kind of slip back into the regular zone, which is kind of scary.
Out of the zeitgeist kind of thing.
Yeah. So that's kind of frightening. I hope it doesn't dry up too much because we're just starting to get some good comic book talent around.
If it can just reduce the total amount of people, so I'm not walking shoulder to shoulder at one time, but maybe spread them out a little bit, I'm okay with that.
That's part of the reason we went on Sunday, and it was great as a result. The only drawback to going on Sundays is you've already missed out on any great deals. They've been picked apart by other vendors at the very least, and it was a short day. We got there when it opened I think it opened at 9 or 10. They closed the doors at 4. I'm like, man, I got something to do on every floor. I've been collecting autographs from the cast of Twin Peaks, and I met the people that do some of the voices for Bluey. I'm a multi-purpose convention attendee. I've got lots of stuff, lots of fires to stoke at once. All right, so let's pivot out of a non-G.I. Joe territory into a big G.I. Joe territory. Jaren, can you get us caught up on what's been going on in the world of G.I. Joe Classified?
All right, so we're going to shift gears here a little bit, and I'm going to talk about one of the things that I've picked up recently. I didn't get to go with Greg to Lexington ComicCon this year, which was a bummer. And seeing all the cool stuff, I really wish I would have been able to make it work. But you live and you learn. But I saw that my favorite random website that I somehow stumbled upon, 2CMD Store, had AIRBORNE in stock last week. So I was like, let's see what we can do. So I ordered it and a couple DC Multiverse figures just to make it feel not as bad on shipping for one figure. And it came in. So we're going to kind of talk about it. Greg, you love the AIRBORNE figure, right? Like you have a connection to AIRBORNE, if I'm not mistaken.
So AIRBORNE is the first Joe I ever got. It was a gift from my grandma. And because of that, he was very important. He was the first Joe on the field, so to speak, an ever-growing battlefield. So, yes, I've always been very fond of AIRBORNE. When I met Ron recently, Ron Rudat, I chose AIRBORNE as the sketch.
Yeah.
He does not get enough attention.
Yeah. AIRBORNE's such a cool figure, and I do really love this figure. This is one, like... So one thing that I realized as soon as I got him out is he does seem to share the upper body of Scrap Iron and Wolf Spider. And for some reason, that figure, the actual movement and stuff of it, is way better than I thought it would be. Because the sleeves are a little bigger, the arms are a little more circular, because it's more of like a full-on shirt. But that was something that I noticed pretty quick. He's got like the pads on the elbows that were kind of like the giveaway for it. And then like the collar on his like sweater, which was like the two things. I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure. Now, once again, I could be wrong. They could make something very similar. I don't know that much. I'm not the designer or the sculptor. So, but I do love him. The movement is very great. The colors, I like the like blue, like the vest kind of thing. I love the way that looks and like how that pops off with his kind of tan fatigues. And the gear is all right. I will replace his primary weapon just because it's a little bit of a smaller SMG. And unfortunately, it's just made in that plastic that they're using for right now. So it's just a little flimsy and a little small. But, the gear, he's got like a really nice knife he can pull off right here. He's got a sidearm with like the kind of like the jumpsuit kind of pouch with the holster on his thigh. Really cool. He's got the goggles, which are actually very easy to get on and put the helmet on over. And then he's got the night vision, and then he's got like the goggle covers. I don't know if there's like a correct word for that, but like they look like just bigger goggles, but they're not actually goggles. They like cover the goggles that you can put on top of his helmet. So he's a really great figure, and I am glad I got him. And then he has the Duke backpack, the original Duke V1 classified Duke backpack with the shovel. So he's got a decent amount of accessories, but the figure, it works really well. The face print on it, in my opinion, is very good. It's got a very good face sculpt on it. So, Greg, you didn't order it, did you? I know you had thought about it.
I don't actually really remember what I have on order and what I don't anymore. I am trying to order one of each, but I'm trying to order it. It has to be from somewhere that has free shipping. That's one of my new stipulations, and I'm only ordering one if I get it. I'm sure I pre-ordered AIRBORNE. I just don't remember where, because it would have been coming off one of those. I would have probably set an alarm to woke up, pre-order, back to sleep, forget it. Then I do it. Yeah. I do that 3 times, and then I have to go in, and I just got a notification I had 2 vamps. I was like, no, we don't. One of those got to go.
Those I think this figure right now. Whew.
Yes, I know. I think this figure looks great. I think the color match is a super important part of this. I don't know why, but that like babyish blue is a very defining color palette for AIRBORNE. If I had to take a guess, that gun is Beachhead V1's gun. I'm at the very least going to give it to my Beachhead, but I bet that they have a retro Beachhead in the works based on the figures that we've seen so far.
I think they revealed it, right? Yeah, they did.
Did they reveal it?
That was one of the newer digital reveals, I think.
Okay, well that makes
maybe
sense.
Maybe I'm misremembering, but I think that was one of the newer ones.
Well, then that makes sense. They probably have included it because they wanted to make it for him. I don't have an issue with that gun, and I'm not going to use that helmet, and I'm not going to use those goggles either. So I just want him to be pretty much streamlined as possible. Airborne V1 has a green helmet, and it's just the pretty standard green. It doesn't have all these bells and whistles on it. And guess what? I never used it. He never wore it. So I'm going to just leave him like this. I'm very bare bones about this type of stuff. Good looking figure. It, falls into a category of a lot of figures. There's nothing wrong with him, but there's nothing that's like jumps out and grabs you. If I wasn't attached to the character of Airborne, I don't know how I would feel about it. But instead, I'm just kind of like over here with the lowlights and the grunt and all the other the shockwave, all the other figures that I'm like, these are fine, but there's nothing about them that just like wows me. And unfortunately, that's where we're at.
I like that you just mentioned two of my favorites, Low Light. You're like, yeah, these ones, they suck. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, different approaches for different people. I wish this box, it just clicked to me that this box design it's basically back to normal now, right?
Until the next wave when it's different again.
Well, it's funny because I was looking at the Cobra boxes are not back to normal. The like Dreadnoks are packaged in boxes that look like bad guy themed, and they weren't as themed as this. Now I'm starting to. It's cut a little differently. Like it has like a dip and goes up, but it is really, really, really close to what we started with before we just decided to save the environment and failed. Sorry. I like the this art piece is pretty good that stands out. I'm gonna keep saying it, but I'd really like to be able to see this art better somewhere, anywhere. Instead, I have to find the artist, which is not given any credit here. I have to find the artist to track them down and be like, hey, can I see it? You know what I mean? Like the Hasbro makes no effort to share it, show it, or do anything with it. But this is probably just a quarter of the finished art, so I like seeing the finished stuff.
It'd be really cool if we could get like an art of G.I. Joe classified book. And
that'd be a great idea.
See it. Like
The problem is,
let's start a Kickstarter. Let's go ahead.
Hey, you're right. This is ours, Carson. You back off. TM. No, I think that would be a phenomenal idea, just to see some like print size, just a compilation book of those. I'd buy that in a heartbeat. Again, people were very testy about some of the experimental art that they did in the earlier
Cover
sets.
Girl. I remember people were not happy about like the
Cover Girl, Zarana, even Spirit, which is supposed to be, a Native American artist doing a Native American style, and they're still like, nah, it's not. Nah, he's not. That's not good enough for me. That eagle is supposed to be carrying a machine gun.
That's not the freedom I know.
I would like to see that art. I was trying to track down and save a lot of that art in the beginning, and then there was some that I couldn't find the artist for at all.
Yeah.
So I was just like, this sucks. Boo on you guys.
So
even if they print the art book, they probably bought that art outright, so the artists aren't going to get any money off of it either way. So
yeah, that's unfortunate. Well, so you mentioned your Vamps coming. Do you have any of the 60th anniversary? Those are kind of getting in the process of shipping as well.
I did get the notification that I've got one of each coming. Okay. I don't have any plans to do anything with those figures, and other than put them in that closet right there. I don't know what I'm going.
I made the mistake of pre-ordering 3 on Pulse.
And Whoa, buddy!
Pulse doesn't give you the chance to change the amount. It's either cancel or keep the order, and I want the order.
Funny how that works.
But I also ordered 2 on Big Bad Toy Store. So I'm about to have a squad, but the good thing is Big Bad Toy Store still shows that they're honoring that $24.99 price point that they originally had them up for.
Wow,
so
good for them.
2 of them, because now if you go to pre-order them now, they're at $35. But if you go to like your account, you already had it. Shows the $24.99, which
that's a big part of the reason I did not buy another. And in general, although I will allow myself to buy doubles if it's something an important character, something like that. I don't want that to be anything that's not in the standard $24.99 price point, because I'm already stretched so thin to get what I've got. So these guys that are coming in, 2 great looking set. I'm not trying to diminish the line. Looks great. Looks like a lot of fun for somebody, not me. I just want a regular, unique G.I. Joe. I'm interested to see what people do with them, including you, even though I haven't seen you do any toy photography in a hot minute.
I have 15 figures in my car, like in the center console of my car, because I'm like, I'm going to go out after work today. I'm going to take some pictures. I've got the Delta Squad, or like the Republic Commando Squad of clones. I've got my Night Force set of figures. I'm like, I'm going to go out. And then I get in my car after work, and I'm like, I'm going to go home and take a nap. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So
Very relatable. Now,
I have
that
good intentions.
that vamp is different. I although I could only afford one, I had to go in and cancel one immediately. I have every intention of opening the vamp, and I have every intention of like really kind of giving it a run for its money. One, the vamp is one of my favorite vehicles of all time. Two, Clutch is one of my favorite characters of all time. So I gotta get him in hand and mess around with him a little bit just to kind of see. The vamp is probably my favorite
he's got
vehicle.
a dope tattoo on that figure.
4, nail polish remover removes tattoos from figures that you don't like. No, I think the set looks good. I'm really excited to get it open and play with it. And who knows, maybe, I don't think this will see a markdown at any point in the future. I don't think these $35 60th anniversary dudes are going to show up either. But I would have never said there would be $5 Crimson Guards ever at any point in our timeline. So I guess anything's possible. I'm using that as a guide to not overspend now. Anything that I can take a chance on, and I have to be honest and tell myself most stuff I can take a chance on. Yeah. Let it go and try to pick it up on the secondary market cheaper. I think worst case scenario, if I do have to go buy it on the secondary market here and there, unless it's something that's super exclusive, I should be okay.
Yeah, the only things that are still crazy high on the second hand are like that first wave of, like, I think the Viper Island Viper or Cobra Island Viper might be still a little pricey. But then everything else is like 00 Snake Eyes, Masters of the Sky Zartan,
right.
Those like actual exclusive like convention kind of things. And even then, some of those are coming down. I mean, like Chuckles you can buy for retail. That Baroness and Twins pack you can get for cheaper than the initial. So
it's tough because I'm like, don't skip an exclusive. My advice is still don't skip an exclusive. But I also come from an era where Toys R Us would put up an exclusive that would sell out so fast it would sell out in between F5 refresh page punches. I'm talking like speed of light, us versus bots. Just a merciless battlefield of not being able to get it at a regular price. And it's not quite that bad anymore. But for every Crimson Strike crap team markdown that they have, you've got a Serpentor Mindbender that is still maintaining above retail. Or a Regal Cobra Commander, Zartan exclusive. I'm not going to skip an exclusive. I'm not doubling down on them. But
except for maybe Target exclusives. Those Python Patrol ones are half
that
off
was the
right
first
now, 40% off.
Those were the first ones that I was like, I'm not getting these unless they're real cheap. I didn't open my other Treble Bubble. I did not open my Copperhead. I can't justify it anymore, man. The initial dream was buy one to open, one to stay sealed. It's like a new era for G.I. Joe, Greg, and you're going to cover it on all fronts. And I just have never collected a 6-inch line that aggressively before to leave in the package. I mean, it was just, everywhere. They're right now. They're everywhere. The stuff I have, I don't have room for.
They are pumping them out. I mean, I did not ever think we would get this many releases in a year, and it is hard. I mean, I didn't get the Python Patrol just because I was like, I can't. If that hits, if I try to buy that and then immediately the Vamps come out because they're coming soon, like obviously for me, I want the Vamps. Like that's what I want.
Oh yeah,
so
the Vamps are gonna be awesome.
We're in an interesting time, and I understand that fatigue. My wallet's feeling it too, and I'm trying to sell stuff off so that I can keep going. But if I can't keep up, I mean, at least luckily most of it isn't too crazy. I'll try to keep getting the exclusives right off the bat, but then I might have to start letting, a Jinx or, whoever the name only reveals, the retro Snow Serpents or something, slide and eventually catching up. And maybe when there's nothing that's come out for a month, then I can go back and, okay, well, let's grab this thing that I missed. Or or something for a con. You know, when I go to Kentuckiana or Winterfest. Hey, I missed that, like I did with the Snow Serpent, which that wasn't me. That was just me missing it. But you know, unfortunately, there's so many things with the classified. It's easy to miss it.
Yes,
it really is.
Yes,
and
exactly.
I'm an active collector of classified, and I missed that one 100%. I just forgot.
It is tough to keep up. I have missed stuff. I still don't really have an accurate like count of every single deviation and variation. I'm just taking my past self's word that I got them all, and then if I guess I'll catch up eventually when I don't get one in.
Yeah, I think the only things that I'm missing are that Baroness 3-pack that's on Outlet, which I will eventually maybe get, or I don't. I don't like, the thing is, I have to tell myself I don't have to have every single one. Like the collector mindset of having to have all of them, one of each. I got it. Like I don't. I've got the twins. I've got a Baroness. I don't need the red version. I want it. I think it's cool, at least for the Baroness. But I don't have that, and I don't have the newest Python Patrol ones that just went on 40% off at Target. So maybe I'll swing by and grab those. But
that was the first one I skipped as well. I will always have a problem being like, oh, I'm 123 in. I don't think I can walk it back numerically now. I don't think I can ever. It's going to be really hard for me to flat out skip a figure permanently forever because I got them from 0-0 on. So, well, I'm trying to hedge my bets, keep my money moving accordingly, so it doesn't overcomplicate things. All right, we'll be back in 2 short weeks. We're either going to pick back up with Arise to Print or Arise, or we will get caught up on some of the news that we've kind of been lapsing on. But this helped because now we're kind of caught up on acquisitions and other things. Anytime you go to a con, it's almost a whole episode because we just get into a lot of stuff. If you had been there, we had to probably break it into 2 episodes to get into so many adventures. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Anything Joe's Pod. You can write us at our email address, which is anythingjoespod@gmail.com. And we would love to hear from you. Talk to me about G.I. Joe Classified. Are you experiencing the burnout? Are you having to make difficult decisions based on your income, your budget for spending on these? Are you completely over it, or are you just like, forget it, it's me, Mr. Moneybags from the game Monopoly? That's not his name. What's the name of the guy from Monopoly as he makes it rain money over classified figures?
I'm going to only call him Mr. Moneybags now.
Mr. Moneybags. Hey, it's me, Mr. Moneybags. Come get your money. Buy classified figures. Anyway, what I was getting at, maybe I'm thinking of the nut from the cashews.
The Peanut Man?
What? Is his name Mr. Peanut with the monocle?
He's got the monocle? Huh.
I'd love to hear what's going on with you guys in your G.I. Joe Classified collection, if you're all in, all out, somewhere in between, and how the things are going right now affecting you. It's affecting me in a way I didn't expect, and so that is interesting. That I'll throw a lot of money at a lot of G.I. Joe stuff. It takes kind of a lot to break me, quite frankly, but it's getting close. And that's it. Yeah, we'll be back in 2 short weeks. We'll talk about a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and we look forward to talking to you then. Jaren, your face looks like you've looks like I reached to the screen and slapped you. You're just like locked in a smile.
My face hurts. Like, this end has been perfectly chaotic, and I love it.
We need to we got to get a pre-recorded ending that we just pop in here at the end and it's all done. Thanks so much for tuning in to Anything Joe's, and we look forward to talking to you again, where anything's available for discussion here on Anything Joe's.
All these other Joes ain't who they claim to be. You're just the average Joe. That's why Cobra hating me. Yeah, boy, I'm Snake Eyes. That's why Scarlet dating me. I'm gung ho. Louisiana love me, baby. Sunbow. Yeah, the hero was me, baby. Storm Shadow. Yeah, that's why y'all fear me, baby. Got a lot of Joes. You got none. Come and share me, baby. G.I. Joe. Got my comic book. Watching cartoon episodes. Watch me going box. Dead stock. Jaren on his toes. Watch me going like a whole new world you never know. On my freaking block. On my block.